Alright YouTube, what's going on? It's Hightower 5000 here today, bringing you a guide on the minigame, the Sorceress's Garden. In this video, what I'll be showing you is all 4 gardens, how to get access to this minigame, and also the rewards. And then at the end I'll also give you my personal thoughts on this as well. The reason why I am making this guide is because I require some Sq'irkjuice for a quest that I'm about to start, missing my mummy. But I thought I'd do a whole guide on the minigame just because I feel there's no good ones on YouTube. Okay, so if you're like me and you've never actually accessed this minigame before, then what you have to do is actually unlock it by talking to a few people. What you want to do is start off in Alcaraz and you want to go to talk to Osman. Osman is now located in Alcaraz Palace. It used to be located outside, but he's now in the palace. So what you want to do is run into the palace and talk to him. Once in the palace, what you're going to do, select option number 1. I'd like to talk about Sq'irks, and then you're going to be given a whole list of options. These 5 options, I'd recommend going through. It'll give you some background information on the game, tell you what it's about. However, this isn't required to go through any of them at all, though personally I would recommend it. Once you're finished up talking with Osman, what you want to do is head southeast of Alcaraz Palace, and there's going to be this hut with a cooking range and a teleportation method. There's going to be a person inside. The person in the hut is called Apprentice, and basically what she is she's a maid and she's cleaning up the floor, but she's very important because she will help us teleport out to the garden. Now if you're to right click and teleport on her, then unfortunately the first time it will not work, so what we need to do is go ahead and talk to her. However, if you're like me and you want to obtain some of the Sq'irkjuice, then what you want to do is get some beer glasses. Now to get some beer glasses, you can either bring them from the bank by emptying out a beer or something like that, but if you search the shelves on the south wall of this building, then you'll find some empty beer glasses. I'd recommend putting a few of these in your inventory. Okay, so once you start talking to her, you realise she's going to be quite upset. So what you're going to do is be sympathetic towards her. Select option number 2, surely there must be an upside to this task. She's then going to say something about a garden. You're then going to select option number 2 again. Oh, you can talk to me about it, I can see you're having a bad day. And then select option number 2 again, a sympathetic ear can do no wonders. And then select option number 3, you mentioned something about a garden. After selecting this option, she's going to tell you what she knows, and then she's going to say that she can teleport you there. So once you get to the option, you can select option number 1, wow, cast a spell on me, it'll be good magic training for you. And then what she's going to do is she will cast this spell on you eventually, and then you'll be teleported out to the garden. Okay, so just a quick note before we start on each of the mazes. If you want to exit the garden, then what we want to do is go and drink from the fountain, which is located in the middle, and that will take you back out to the hut which we just teleported from. Okay, so once you arrive in the gardens, you're going to notice that there are 4 mazes around you. To the north is the summer garden, to the east is the spring garden, to the south is the autumn garden, and to the west is the winter garden. In these contain a herb patch and a Sq'irk tree. Now each garden requires a different thieving level to enter, and also requires a different amount of fruits if you're wanting to make a Sq'irkjuice. To get access to the winter garden, then what you'll need is a feeding level of 1. If you want to get access to the spring garden, then you'll require a feeding level of 25. If you want to get access to the autumn garden, then you'll require a feeding level of 45. And finally, if you want to get access to the summer garden, then you'll want a feeding level of 65. If you're wanting to make a Sq'irkjuice, then you're going to require these fruits. You get these fruits by picking the trees once you've completed the maze. I'll show you how to do the mazes in a second. But for each juice you'll require a different amount of fruits. As the winter is the easiest maze and requires the lowest feeding level to enter, you'll require 5 fruits to make a Sq'irkjuice. Spring you will require 4. Autumn you will require 3 fruits, and finally summer you will require 2 fruits. However, as you can tell, summer is the hardest as it has a 65 feeding level requirement to enter. Alright, so now let me show you how to work and get through the mazes so we can get ourselves some herbs or some fruit. So we're going to start off with winter here. Winter is probably the easiest one. What you want to do is go through the gate and then run north behind the winter element, which is going north. If it's on the other side of the wall and going south, then you're clear to pass. As long as it doesn't see you, then you want to run into this corner, into the safe spot here. Then, once the winter element is travelling in an easterly direction just to the north of you, you want to run to your west along, then up to your north. If unfortunately the winter element at the very north is coming your way, then you can actually stand in the gap right in between the 2 hedges, and that is a safe spot there as well. You'll be safe there, you will not get seen and you will not get set back outside the maze. And then from there, what you want to do when the coast is clear is just run round and you'll be at the tree. The herbs are just a little bit south, but don't worry, you don't have to pass any more winter elements. Alright, okay, so the next one we're going to do is the spring one. Spring one is located to our east, so what you're going to do is open up the gate, and then once you're in, you're going to wait there. Now, what you're going to do is when this spring element is going in the opposite direction, up in a southerly direction, what you want to do is either hide in this wee section here or hide in this wee section here. Then once that spring element is then going north, what you're going to do is come and hide on the corner. This is a safe spot here where you cannot be detected. So as you see, there's these two spring elements. Now they're doing loops. They're actually doing, in a sense, a crossover circle. What you want to do is run directly north, and then what you want to do is hide in one of these two here. Your choice, doesn't matter, both of them are safe spots. Once this spring element goes north and passes us again, what we want to do is run around this corner here and then hide behind this hedge here. Now, if you're wanting to go to the herbs, then the herbs over here, it's a little bit more difficult for the herbs. What you need to do is wait for this spring element here to go right up against that wall, or what you want to do is follow it, and then you want to run around there and you can go ahead and pick the herbs. If you're like me and you're going for the fruit tree, what you want to do is wait for the spring elements to come your direction, and then you just want to follow up and then pop in here, and then that will be you at the fruit tree. Alright, okay, so the next one we're going to be doing is Autumn. Autumn is located to the south of the fountain. This one is actually quite difficult because there's not a lot of safe spots. There's one or two safe spots at the start, but once you're getting closer to the tree's a lot more difficult. Also, the tree and the herbs are actually different locations as well for this one, so there's actually quite a bit of chance of you failing. Right, so let's get this started and let's go through the gates. And then once you're through the gates, you're going to see this Autumn element here. This is the one we need to pass first, so what you want to do is you can use multiple safe spots for this. Actually, you can use these safe spots here. I'm going to move from this safe spot here to this safe spot here. There's also where these leaves are over here. So what you're going to do is follow the Autumn elements up, and then I'm going to quickly pop in there. And then once you're done there, what you want to do is when it's going back in a westerly direction, you want to run into there. Okay, so now we're in here, and as you can see, this is our next Autumn element here that we have to deal with. Not too difficult to get past this one, but once we get past this one, it's going to get a lot more difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run around here where the leaves are, and then what you want to do is when you get the chance, you're going to follow it. I'm just going to go opposites, like so. Now this is the difficult part where we sort of continuously just got to keep going. What you want to do is this Autumn element here, you need to sort of follow it round. You've got to time it to perfection. You need to wait for this one to be going north, that one to be about round about there, because the time you get up to there it'll be coming along here, and then you want to follow that, and then if we can get over to there, to that safe spot there, then that'll be okay. If timing is working out in your favour, then you can actually continue on going if this Autumn element is going in a easterly direction. So with all that said, I now just need to wait for the correct timing. Right, I believe the correct timing will be now, so I'm going to go for this like so, and just follow this Autumn element along here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duck into here. Now that you're here, make sure that one is going in an easterly direction, as is this one. You want to follow this Autumn one and then get into here. If ever you want to go for herbs and you just want to continue up there, quite easily just hide behind that there and then go on ahead and pick yourself some herbs. Now that I'm here, I'm just going to pick a fruit off the tree and I'll be returned back into the middle. Alright, okay, so our final garden is the summer garden. This is actually quite a difficult garden. I feel like this a lot, probably because it is the highest garden at level 65. But to access the summer garden, it's to the north of the fountain, and what we're going to do is enter through the gate, and then you're going to come to where I am standing right here, and then we're going to wait for this summer element to continue in a northerly direction, and then we're going to sprint over and duck into the side here. Once that goes south, we're then going to run along here, and luckily enough, for some reason the summer element doesn't see us walking on any of these wee bits here. Not at all sure why, but anyway, once this element is going south, what we want to do is run around this corner up to here, and then you'll get yourself to here quite nicely. And then when you're ready and this one is going in a southerly direction, what we want to do is run into this corner here, and then once you go around that, once it's going north, and then you'll be here. Now this part's a bit difficult actually, because this summer element is a figure of 8, so it's a bit more of a challenge. We need to work out good timing here. So what I'd maybe recommend doing is actually following it, doing its figure of 8. That is probably your best method. So what I'm going to do here is when this summer element comes along, is I'm going to follow behind it like so, and then we'll get into the safe spot which is located here. Now if you want to go for the herbs, so you need to watch out for the summer element. When that is going in a northerly direction, you just want to go in and sneak into the herbs. I'm going for the tree, a little bit more difficult. So what we need to do is we need to go and get ourselves, what you want to do is probably just follow it in, and then you want to shoot over here. And once you're in this spot here, you want to slide up and then slide round. That was timed to absolutely perfection. Did get quite lucky there. That one there is doing a circle, so you need to time your run. That is where I usually fail. I usually fuck up there, but there's no real safe spot there. So what you got to do is you've just got to run from there right round into here without getting caught. Now if you want to make yourself a nice wee Sq'irkjuice, then what you need to do is require the amount of fruits that I told you earlier on. If you have forgotten in it, you need 5 fruits for winter, 4 for spring, 3 for autumn and 2 for summer. As you see here, I've already got my winter juice here. I went in and I did 5 runs of the winter maze. Now I've got myself 2 summer fruits. All you want to do is just hit squeeze and it will go into one of the beer glasses, and that's why we brought the beer glasses with us. Alright, okay, so now that I've shown you how to obtain all these fruits, make them into juices, shown you through all the mazes and the mini game, you might be asking what the rewards are. Well, from this game there are various rewards. Obviously if you make yourself some Sq'irkjuices, then these will give you feeding boosts. I'll talk about them in a second. And if you pick herb, you'll randomly be given a herb. It's totally random, there's no formula behind it. And I believe if you go for herbs, you can actually try and pick 2 at once before you get teleported back out. Okay, so for the winter juice, what you're going to receive is you're going to receive a 0 feeding boost. You're going to receive an energy recovery of 10%. And if you give this to Osmond, you will get 350 feeding experience. If you make yourself a spring juice, then what you will get is a feeding boost of 1 level. You'll get an energy recovery rate of 20%, and you will get 1350 experience from Osmond. An autumn juice will give you a boost of 2 feeding levels, an energy recovery rate of 30%, and it will give you 2350 experience from Osmond. Finally, the summer juice will give you a boosted feeding level of 3, an energy recovery rate of 40%, and will give you 3000 experience from Osmond. Now, what are the experience rates? Well, if you were to land up filling up a full inventory of just winter juices, then you would land up getting 840 farming experience and 1750 feeding experience per trip, which may sound very low, but obviously if you are starting at level 1, which is the requirement to get into the winter garden, that is actually be quite a lot of XP. For the spring garden, if you were to fill up a full inventory, you get yourself 1120 farming experience and a total of 9450 feeding experience per trip. If you were to fill up a full inventory with autumn juice, then you will get a total of 1400 farming experience along with 21150 feeding experience. And finally, if you were to fill up an inventory with summer juices, then you would receive 1680 farming experience along with 42,000 feeding experience. Now these are all if you're to fill up a full inventory. Unfortunately I can't actually say really what it'd be like per hour because everyone works at different rates and there is a relatively high chance you'll make mistakes here and there. Obviously if you make a mistake, the XP loss, there will be an XP loss and your XP per hour will go down. For me though, I wouldn't actually use this method for training feeding just because master farmers up until you can start doing pyramid plunder, and from there pyramid plunder is the best way to go. The reason I actually made this guide, and I reckon why a lot of people will be using it, is because these juices are actually a quest requirement for a few quests, and I thought I'd make a video because there's no guide on this minigame. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. This is something a little different. I know I usually do quest guides. Quest guides will be continuing. Missing My Mummy will be out within the next 2 days, and I should also have a Christmas video coming out for you guys as well, talking about me starting up live streaming, which is quite big news. If you've got anything else to add into this video, then comment in the comment description below and then I'll be sure to add it in. For example, experience rates per hour. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next video. Adios.